there, it's Tia Torres with another episode of Wild Instincts. So, as I tell you my stories of my time in Sri Lanka filming the movie The Jungle Book, I don't remember the exact chronological order everything happened. So it will be just little jibs and jabs of adventures that I found myself in throughout my time there. And I want to say, I can't remember. I think I was there for like 6 months, maybe longer. Come on, guys. It was back in the, like I said, the mid 90s. I don't remember. So in the last episode, I introduced to you Jeffrey, and he went by that name, not Jeff, Jeffrey, my Sri Lankan heartthrob. And I know that, yes, he did seem a little rough around the edges, and the incident that happened at the hotel with him momentarily trying to drown me. But finding out, again, it's a part of the culture. It was nothing personal, so to speak. Yeah, I know. What can I say? Anyways, we then got invited to attend a wedding. Some friends of Jeffrey's. And it was going to be in a big banquet hall. And he told me to bring my Western friends, my American friends, with us. And, we'd have a great time. Now, I have always been one of the kind of people who can fit in anywhere. I'm like a chameleon. My younger daughter, Mariah, is the same way. Like if she's going to a rodeo, she makes sure she puts on her best, cowgirl gear. And if she's going to ride her Harley, she's dressed to the nines in her motorcycle mama gear. For her, in her case, she is the real deal in both worlds. In my case, being in Sri Lanka, I wasn't from that country. I wasn't, I was not familiar with the culture, obviously. But that being said, I wanted to be respectful. So I had started to learn how to dress like the locals. Now, when I was working with the animals, of course, we wore just like t-shirts and shorts, but the shorts had to come to our knees because we were already getting looks from the people there. Just women weren't allowed to dress like that. So when out in public, I did try to dress more traditional. And I learned the art of putting on what they call a sari. I believe it's S-A-R-I. And a sari is basically, imagine a piece of material that is about 3 to 4 foot wide and about 30 feet long. I swear to God. Okay, maybe not there. Maybe like 10 or 15. And I was taught, you wrap it around your waist to make the skirt. And then you do this little folding thing and you tuck it in your waistband and then it wraps around your upper body and then over your head if needed. And you were allowed to wear like a t-shirt, underneath it. Some of the women actually wore like sports bras, but, they were pretty much covered up with the material of the sari. And then everybody wore sandals, pretty much. A lot of people were barefoot there, believe it or not. So I wore a sari when I went out. Well, we're going to a wedding. I want to dress up. And the saris are, they're made of like a cotton material, a thin cotton material, because it's extremely hot and humid there. And the colors were, again, this is like I don't want to call it a third world country, but let's just say it wasn't like American material, okay? So the colors were a little but I was determined to find something that at least popped. I wanted to dress nice. I'm going to a wedding. So myself and a couple of the trainers, the animal trainers, we went sari shopping, okay? And I went to one of the shops in the city. And of course, hardly anybody speaks English there. I'll be honest with you. And learning the language was extremely difficult. And I would sometimes jump around from like English to Spanish because I could speak decent Spanish, and it was a mess. So I managed to use like hand signals and acting things out to explain to the shopkeeper that I was going to a wedding. I kept saying a wedding, da da da, and I'm trying to like act out the wedding. And finally it clicked. Oh, yes, 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 yes. He brings out this sari. Oh my God. It was beautiful. It was an amber color with some dark brown and gold, and it had sequins and sparkles. It was beautiful. I had to have it. I'm like, I'm gonna be like, like, wow, And now, mind you, you don't go to a wedding to take away the attention of the bride, obviously. And let's face it, I had already ruined one wedding. Wait, did I tell that story? Well, we'll catch up with that later. I thought I did, but I had already ruined one wedding, so I didn't want to ruin another. But people dress up when they go to weddings. So I bought it. And as a matter of fact, there is an old picture of me floating around on the internet, and I use it sometimes in my social media platforms, of me in my hotel room getting ready to leave for the wedding. I'm wearing this sari, and I'm kind of squatted down on the ground with Tatanka, my pit bull. So my friends and I are getting ready, and Jeffrey had stated that he would meet me there. He was going to go help at the wedding, and he would meet us there. No problem. So it was myself, and I believe Nicole and Chris, Chris being the only male in the group. Not that it's important, but anyways, just us wolf crew, the wolf crew. I think it was just the three of us, if I remember right. Scott may have been with us. He handled the bears. I don't remember. And they actually, too, dressed in traditional Sri Lankan attire. But they downplayed it. The men were in like this really like cotton linen pantsuits. Nicole wore I think it was like a dark blue linen sari. So I stood out. I did. Had my hair all, curled and makeup and the whole bit. So we arrive at the banquet hall, and, the wedding hadn't happened yet. The party, people are gathering, there's music, and I don't see Jeffrey right away. And I notice that people's heads are turning and looking. Everybody. And I'm like, oh, we're the Americans. That's why they're staring. And I mean, everybody was looking. We're talking, there was a few hundred people at this wedding. So, we're getting some to drink and some refreshments and stuff. And we just stood like this little corner. Oh my God, I'm choking here. It's in this little corner of this big banquet room, and it was done up beautifully. And people would not stop staring at us. I'm talking everybody in the room. Now it was starting to feel a little uncomfortable. Finally, Jeffrey appears out of, I don't know where, from a back room or something. And he sees me, and the look on his face is, I don't know whether you could say it was shock, fear, surprise, excitement. I don't know. Maybe all in one. As he's walking towards me, he has this look on his face. And he comes over to us, and he says, to my friends, excuse me. And he, not meanly, but gently by the elbow, pulls me aside. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You can't wear this." I said, "Well, I wanted to be respectful, and wear something traditional." He says, "You don't see everybody staring at you?" I said, "Well, yes, but we're the only Americans here." He says, "No, That's not why they're staring at you. He said, he says, you're wearing a wedding sari. You're dressed like the bride. I'm like, wait, what? What? He says, yes, this is what the bride wears. Because of all the sparkles and the sequins and the bright colors. He says, look around you. Nobody else is dressed this, just, you stand out, not because you're an American. Look at what all the other women are wearing. And he was right. They were all wearing like these very plain colored, printed linen, cotton, saris. And I went, oh my God. He says, they either think you're the bride or they think you're disrespecting the bride, but you have to go. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So, we walked back over to my friends and I'm like, y'all can stay, but I have to go. Apparently, I've just ruined the bride's special day. And again, it was not my first time ruining a wedding in Sri Lanka. So, it was really pretty though. It was so pretty. Yeah, that was my, that was one of many adventures that I would get myself into trouble with while living there. So, I didn't get to hear the I do's, but I left saying the I don'ts. I don't know how I got myself into this, and it will never happen again. Okay, well, we're just getting started here. Y'all just stay wild and follow your instincts. I'll catch you on another episode of Wild Instincts.